In this section, we're going to assign an instrument definition file to an external synth so we can see patch names rather than patch numbers, send bank changes, and access controllers from within Sonar. Note this only works with hardware synths, not soft synths. You may be able to find an existing instrument definition for your synth, either already installed within Sonar or perhaps online at the manufacturer's website, or there may be one included on a disk supplied with the synth. They are known as INS files and contain all the information needed to integrate your synth into Sonar properly. They can also be used to define continuous controller names, as well as registered parameter numbers and non-registered parameter numbers. If you can't find an instrument file, it is relatively easy, although a little tedious, to create your own. The good news is you'll only need to do this once, and it can be exported and saved should you want to share your creation or use it elsewhere. I'm going to show you how I set up an old Casio keyboard that I have that doesn't already have a ready-made instrument file. For this we will need some information from the synth's manual, so it may be an idea to dig that out if you're planning on setting your own up. To access the instrument assignments, we need to open Preferences by pressing P, and under the MIDI section, click on Instruments. To the left, we can see our output ports, and they have the same name as the friendly names we set in the MIDI devices dialog box earlier. To the right are any existing instrument definitions that may or may not be already assigned. If your device already has an instrument file listed here, it is simply a matter of highlighting the device name and channel numbers we wish to assign, and then clicking on the instrument definition to the right. A line appears showing the assignment. You can assign one channel at a time, or multi-select and assign them all together. For example, the MRT3 port is one of my drum machines, and I want to assign all of the channels to its instrument definition. To do that, I highlight the channels I wish to assign by clicking on the top one, and then using Shift-click to click on the bottom. In this case, I want to assign all of them. But of course, if you don't want to do that, just select the ones you do. I then move to the right-hand column and find the device's instrument file in the right-hand list. Click on that and you'll see the line appears to show that it has been assigned. Now all channels on that port are assigned, and when selecting patches using this drum machine, I will see a list of names rather than numbers. If there is no existing definition, but you have one on disk, or if you want to create your own, click on the Define button towards the bottom right. This opens the Define Instruments and Names box. In the left panel are the existing instrument definitions from the previous view, and to the right are the various elements that make up each definition. There may be some that we can utilise, such as the general MIDI patch names list, or we may need to create our own. If you already have an existing file, it's simply a matter of importing it. Click on Import. Navigate to the INS file. And then open it. You'll then be asked to select your particular instrument from the choices in the file, or yours may be the only one. Either way, select the relevant file and click on OK. Once you've done that, it's simply a matter of closing this box and then assigning it to the correct output port as shown earlier. If you're going to create your own definition, we need to right-click on the instrument folder and select Add Instrument. Then type a meaningful name for the instrument you wish to add. If you click on the plus sign beside the newly created instrument, it will open the folder tree and reveal some of the default names files. Most of these will probably be okay, but check your synth documentation. For example, some synths use a different bank select method. If you do need to change this, all you need to do is open the Bank Select Methods folder in the right-hand pane, then click and drag the correct one across to our instrument definition, like so. You'll see that updates as I do that. Patch names for banks is the most likely area that we will want to create or edit. I've already created a patch name list for many of the Casio's patches, but I need to create one for the user patches. In the right-hand pane, on the Patch Names folder, we need to right-click and select Add Patch Names List. Then type a meaningful name for the list. Once we've done that, the newly created names will take its place in the list sorted alphabetically. Now we need to add the patch names and numbers to the list. So right-click on the list we just created. And as you can see, there's several options there for editing them. We need to choose Add Patch Name or press Shift plus Insert. The number to the left will default to 0, but you can change that if you wish. This is the number that Sonar will use to call up the patch, so make sure that you're editing the correct patch number and name. Type the name of the patch. If you're creating a factory sounds list, this information will be found in the synth manual. If it's a user-created patch, you'll already know the name. Now press Insert, and this will insert the next patch number slot in sequence. Again, type a name for that patch. Carry on until all the patches have been listed. If you have more than one bank, you will need to create a list for each bank. Once all the lists have been created, you can drag them across to the Patch Names for Banks folders in our new instrument definition. Once you release the mouse, at this point you'll be asked for the bank number. This is actually the bank select number that Sonar will use for bank changing. This needs to be entered in decimal format. The bank change number can be calculated easily if you know the CC0 number and the CC32 number of the bank. CC0 may be referred to as MSB, or most significant bit, and CC32 as LSB, or least significant bit. This information is usually in the synth manual. The bank change number is calculated by multiplying the MSB by 128 and then adding the value of the LSB if there is one. For example, the most significant bit or CC0 number for the user bank for the Casio is 71. We multiply that by 128, which equals 9088. We then add the LSB or CC32 number to it. There is no LSB number for the Casio, so our grand total is 9088. This is the number that we enter here and will allow us to send bank change commands to the synth from within Sonar. Once we've done that, click on OK. We could now add more patch names if we wish. For example, the general MIDI can be dragged across, or I can add the drums that I've already have in existence. And once again, I'm asked for the bank number. That happens to be 9089. Once we've finished adding all the patch names, you may like to export the new instrument definition for safekeeping or sharing. Right-click on the instrument name and then select Export from the context menu. Then navigate to wherever you want to keep it and save it to a name that makes sense to you. Once that's done, click Close, and we can then assign the instrument to the correct port and channel number as shown earlier. In this case, I only want channels 1 to 9 and 11 to 16 to go to the Casio sounds. That's assigned by highlighting channels 1 to 9 and clicking on Casio. Channel 10 I want to assign to general MIDI drums, which as you can see I've already done. And channels 11 to 16, again I shift click and highlight and assign that to the Casio instrument. We OK our way out of preferences And now your synth will respond to bank changes sent from Sonar, and patches will be available for selection by their names rather than just a number.